The lights on this mountain reminded me of city lights and how they would blink. I think today's episode is going to be called Sniffles because of how many times I'll be sniffling in this recording. I hope you can tolerate that. Today, I wanted to make a story for a podcast. Not just whip one out of nowhere type of story, but just one that it feels like a work in progress. So I'm just gonna start and then see where it goes, and if you like it, well, let me know what else I should do with it, and if I should do more stuff like it. So let's just spitball. So one thing about me is that I like to create characters just out of the blue. I have a whole world going on, and I haven't really done that much lately because I'm focusing on the ones that I've already made, but that's one thing that I really enjoy to do. Create characters. Hey. So my mouth is smoking or something. I don't even know what that is. So I've got this one called, let's write it out for y'all. Domi or domi. I think I got it from, if you know, the Wu-Tang generator. One day I was just casually looking up Childish Gambino, and I found out that that's where he got his name from. But I think I was on there, and I was searching for cricket. I put cricket into the search thing, and I think it said something about Wild Dominator or something like that. And I was like, I don't think that's even a name that I would give a character. That seems a bit like comic, old classic type comic stuff where it's like the person doesn't even have a realistic name. It's just like a superhero type of name. So I didn't necessarily like that. So I was like, I think that's where I got it from. So I wanted to kind of shorten that. It might be windy. Hopefully it's not windy. It's windy. I know it's windy in the thing, but a man can hope. So Domi is a female. So let me get into a bit of how I even came up with Domi. I was at, this is all connecting in such a wonderful way. I was at the emergency room because I was sick a couple days ago. I was really down in it. I was I had a fever, and that was fun. It was fun. Just making sure I'm still recording. Things happen. Lately I've been doing ones where I just I'm giving away my secret, but lately I do ones that are just me drawing and then I add the audio. That just helps it time, pretty much. Time and location type stuff. But I was at the ER and I was waiting in one of the rooms for them to tell me whether or not I got COVID, and they came back. I think, well, no, it's probably before that, but I saw this little dude, this little cricket. I think it's a cricket. This little cricket in the light fixture above. Like, you know how they have like ones that are kind of just in the wall, in the ceiling? That's where I found this cricket, and I don't know if it was alive or just dead from all that heat exposure, but I was looking at it and I was like, dude, that guy looks like he has a face. It looked like he had like a kind of like a painted on mustache and eyebrow type thing, or like it's fake looking mustache, eyebrow, and then its legs look like legs, like a human legs. Well, not really. You'll see when I get into like the character, but you know how a cricket's legs looks for sure. It's like tiny or skinny. And then it felt like it had like one arm, and then the other one was not really visible, but that like kind of added to it. And then like the back, because I'm a bit concerned if I ever were to see like a big bug because of how hairy they are. So I think it's hair that was on the back of the cricket, but I'm not sure. This could be a completely different bug and I'm just tripping out. But that's what I saw. That's what I saw in the light fixture. I got negative, by the way, so it's, you know, it was a positive takeaway for me. So yeah, I didn't necessarily think that it looked like it would be a boy. So I was like, it would be kind of funny if this girl was wearing like a beard and like bushy eyebrows, and her hair was just like a bit longer than like Jiraiya from Naruto and whatnot. And so I was like, yeah, it would be cool to like make that into a character. So I took a picture of it. Maybe I'll put it, since I mentioned it, I'll put it on screen so you can see what it looks like. And I was like, yeah, let me just make this into a character, and I draw it. I'm not quite done with it, but maybe I will share it on the next podcast or something like that. But so I thought, yeah, I just make this character. Well, today we're just gonna flesh out their existence, you know, their whole point of being here. Why are they alive? So Domi is like a girl, and she's like, I say she's like 16 or so, like, because they look really short, and I'm using this reference photo that is of like someone that looks like they're 16. I was like, kind of just gives off that vibe. I have like a collection of Pinterest images that just match the vibes that I'm looking for constantly. So yeah, they're like a young rebel. And I'll give you the lowdown on like what they're. Man, I really hope. Let me see something. Okay. Yeah. Let me give you the lowdown. So, from all that, I made it so that Domi has a really long puffy hair that goes down to like her knee. She has fake beard and it's a fake beard and bushy eyebrows, some very intense eyes, kind of like a just like a baby face type thing. They're wearing samurai armor, if you dig it, if you feel what I'm feeling, because like the body of the cricket kind of looked like a samurai's outfit for me, and so I was like, that's canon. So they're wearing a samurai outfit. My translation of the me only seeing one arm was kind of just like, what if they were amputee? Like, what if they had lost their arm and in some battle, or like when they were like younger or something like that? I think that's pretty intense for a kid, but it's my world. You gotta deal with it. And then for the legs, since they were so skinny, I was like, what if those are also amputee, but she had prosthetic legs? So I put 2 prosthetic legs on for her legs. That's pretty much that. And I added like some minor things here and there, like I'll probably add more, but I was thinking that she would have like a moth headband, or maybe she has a familiar that's a moth, and then she has like a chain that's a bit like spiky for her, like on her arm that's normal, I guess, her normal arm, the one that's okay, the one that's fine. You'd think that they'd just take off all the limbs and then replace it all with bionic, but no. This one's got one arm, so they're still human. So that's the lowdown of what they look like. Like I think that's pretty cool. I don't want to get too like, in it, and then I'm just making sure again. And then it just not getting anywhere, So I'm just gonna share. I'm gonna share what I would think would happen, or where she's from, or whatnot. I'm just making this all up as we go, because that's just how we do it. So I think good character designing comes from analyzing why someone kind of exists, as in for themselves. I'm getting the vibe that she's like concentrated, very concentrated on a task at hand. I'm not sure what that task would be, but it is a task, and it's something that she wants to accomplish. And so she's very focused, and that kind of gives the big eyes effect. Let me reposition here, because I'm a bit uncomfy. Okay. So yeah, she's got like a strong intent for being alive, for being there. I'm trying, like in most of my characters, I always like try to think about how I can like lean away from the trope of like your family's all dead and stuff like that. So maybe not dead, maybe they're just like not in support of what she's doing or why she's doing something, and maybe she's just gotten to that level of like focus where it's like nothing really matters except for that thing. Kind of like a revenge, but I don't know. I don't really sense it as a revenge per se. They seem like I don't really know. Well, that's the whole point of this. Let's just go with what comes to mind. So since I'm kind of surrounded by nature, I'm like thinking, what if she was someone who advocated for nature and fought for it? And maybe at a time when she was kind of involved in nature, and maybe she has a farm. Her family has a farm, and they had a lot of like animals and plants and whatnot, local plants and stuff like that. I'm thinking, like, since she's wearing this samurai outfit, of course she's well, I don't know, some part in Asia would make sense, but things can always be imported, or could be like something gifted to her from someone she knows. But that's something to think about. But yeah, she has a farm. Let's say her family has a farm, and her family, they cut wood or cut down trees every now and then for like fire and whatnot. I have another character that's like near a forest, but I'm just gonna flow with it until something else comes to mind. But they're surrounded by like a forest and a bit of a city. Like, she's not like, your cottage girl type person, but she's definitely involved in nature. I'd say she has good friends, but she doesn't really like, it's not take pride, but it's like she doesn't acknowledge that enough, or she's not as grateful as one would think if they had good friends, because she's so focused, because she's so intent on something. It really does sound like it would be revenge, but I'm wondering, because I feel like everything with someone who's just like very focused always ends up being about revenge. I'm saying that I think like she lives in open plains. Let's switch that up a bit. She lives in open plains, because open plains with like a nearby small forest area, and then like an hour drive from the city or something like that. I can kind of like, especially for where I live, this will kind of make sense. I like it a little bit, but it could be that like these group of people are trying to cut down the forest and add like an apartment complex there to expand the location. And she was in the forest one time, and that's a little weird. Like, I feel like it would be somewhat of an accident, like they accidentally cut off her arm per se, but I don't think it would be like all three of the limbs are cut off on accident, because at that point I don't think it's an accident. So that would be like where her first injury would come from. She's taken into the city, and they help her fix that, or she's better now or whatever. And yeah, she's better now. I don't know yet about like the other two legs. And maybe to like kind of flip it around a bit, it could be that it could be that this accident caused them to cancel the construction, so it got a lot of like publicity, and so now they're trying to like get the construction done, but the news reporters are like, are these construction workers even worthy of working on this apartment complex. Like, we need to be more careful about where we're working and doing this and that and that. And then it could be like a reverse revenge. It could be like one of the construction workers were like an ex-operative or military man or whatever, and because of this, sorry. So hopefully that was, seems like it was still recording. So yeah, so like this ex-operative, my phone's at 20% by the way. But I love where we're going with this. I really hope that was recording. If not, we can just fill in the space with whatever was there. Dang it, I really want to know. It feels like I've been talking for 20 minutes, but I wouldn't really know. Dang, I thought my phone was fully charged. Whatever. So, this construction worker is an ex-operative. My phone is gonna die. Anyways, he's an ex-operative, and he wants revenge on this kid or something. They want to like now this is kind of sounding like Okja a little bit now that I'm thinking about it, if anyone knows Okja. But they want revenge on the kid, kind of like, I don't even know, like, because he has no work now, he's on this like stupid revenge to try and, you know, get this kid to kind of, I don't even know, bro. He's just on a stupid revenge, which we can dive into more, I guess, later. But maybe in the future, when she gets her two legs cut off, it could be like maybe like poisoning or something that isn't like completely direct, but it lets this construction worker know that what he was doing was wrong. That could be something. So our time of day has changed, our location has changed, my clothes has changed, my pencil has changed, and the page will be changed as well. Kind of like to add on to what I was getting at in the last little bit about revenge. I think I'll just lean into that a little bit. I think there's some tropes that I'm willing to let happen and some that are just, you know, a bit overused. But I think there can be some interesting exploration with a trope that's kind of overused. Or that's just used on a regular basis for storytelling. So let's just lean into revenge. The way I kind of see it, I had some time to think about it a little bit, but the way I kind of see it is these two characters become images of revenge that's on one side forward and honest and like straightforward, and the other is more kept in and quiet. So I'd like to think that Domi is a type of person who keeps in a lot of her emotions, but she knows exactly what she's doing, or she knows where she's going with something. And if I were to ever make a story about her, it would be a little secretive for us to know about like what she plans to do, but it would seep in a bit. Like we'd get some seeps of just knowing what her plan is, but not enough to like, reveal anything. So we're at this point where the construction worker is supposedly poisoning her to the point that she needs to get amputated. And I think around that period of time, it could be little instances where she's kind of like breaking her form of kindness. I like to think that Domi has like a outward kindness about her. It could also be like a case of the animals or the plants that she's surrounded by in her youth and what they've taught her about the world. And you could play on that in terms of how she's secretively, dealing with the situation. I don't know if I would let it be that the construction worker, I wouldn't. I don't think the construction worker should be the one to give the prosthetic legs. I think that, or like fund it or offer it. I think at that point she would have already disappeared, mainly because of her parents. They would have moved away or something like that to make it a little difficult for the construction worker to do anything again. So you think about it in terms of the first mistake was just an accident, supposedly. And I think that the adults would be a lot more like forgiving about the community in terms of like there are people here that support her, there are people here that understand the situation and are willing to help. But then at some point it's like they decide to really move away because it's just a lot. Like that's just a lot to deal with. And I think that because of kind of her attire and, location and some of the ways that those are paired, I would say it would be around like the samurai era, like a strong like era that is focused on that kind of like war armor and war setting. And in doing so, that like opens up just like more reasons for her to be wearing that kind of armor. And I think it could be a large comparison to Mulan a little bit in terms of going undercover in such an outfit. And I think in terms of construction, it could just be that it's more like the government is trying to take control of a land that isn't necessarily theirs, and they need it for maybe not apartments, because I don't think apartments would really be a thing back then. I could do research on that, but maybe just like land for goods or factory goods. That could be something that could be there. And that would be like a reason why they wanted that land, and because of that publication or just like news of this accident splurts around the city, and it's just, I'd want some level of like modern society still spurged in there, especially like the fast control of media. That would be interesting, just like to be able to see how that would compare in that time period. So maybe technology is a little more advanced than we lead on to be in that time period. Especially with amputated legs, like the one I kind of give her. So I did actually kind of finish the drawing, so maybe you will get to see it. This will be posted a little later than expected because of some stupid phone problems, but that is how things go, I guess. So what do we have here? We have Domi, a character that's pretty much 3/4 robot, not even human at this point, if we consider our limbs to be what makes us human. And she's been placed into a world where she's learning from nature and her surroundings. And there's also like a governmental hierarchy that tries to take control of that land in that area. And because of their attempts to take over this area, we see this big accident that happens with during the construction. It could just be like a regular tool, just like left out in the open, and it accidentally just cuts her limb, and cuts her limb, and that kind of like sparks that like spread of information as to whether or not we should be trusting the government to be doing that kind of thing. This construction worker gets upset because it doesn't help the situation for his work, and he's just coming out of his own little war that he went through, which could be a play on like films that kind of deal with psychopaths being born from just coming out of war. It's a whole category. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a whole category. I would suggest like what's it called? Memories of a Murder. That's a really good one that captures that like essence of war just being such a mental hold on people. And maybe it isn't, just the war that's a causation of that, but just like how people were raised or initially just born. But that film is very interesting, and just like how subtle it is about this character and what goes on with this character. So I would suggest that Memories of a Murder. It's a really good film. Very confusing. Very the best word to use to describe it would be like drop kicks. Drop kicks is the best word. So that was by Bong Joon-un, and it's just wonderful film. So we have that like case of some character who's just fresh out of war and trying to get into construction to ease his mind, and now he can't do it because of this mishap. He goes on this revenge splurge. He's very straightforward about it, and he manages to hurt this young girl. And in doing so, the family moves away. We get some glimpses of Domi like being very upset. Some small glimpses of that. By that time, the family's moved away, but Domi is still thinking about it. We can see that maybe like visually, because of how focused and intense she is, we can see more visually than like her just like going around the house like, fuck this dude, fuck the construction worker, whatever. And we go into like a stage where she pulls a plan to join the army in order to serve her own reason for like being a part of it. Like it's almost like we could redirect the story and make it seem like it's over for Domi, and it just becomes like a different character, which is this samurai dude that just joins the army, and then just go from there. Like just go from there until the point of completion, until it's done. What is that? Until we can see where Domi intended to, you know, end things, where she intended to lead things. And that's kind of what I think about Domi. That's that's my spontaneity of that character. There's probably like a lot of things in terms of like clothing and whatnot that I might want to like kink out, but let me know what you think. Maybe you could further it. I'd do another video just exploring that character. But yeah, I just wanted to do something a little different and see how that goes, because that's something I really like to do, which is like create characters on the fly and just build a world around that. So that's that. That's that. It is colder, much colder than it was on the first recording. You get a little lake noise going on in the background, so I hope that hasn't like destroyed my audio and made me like very quiet, but hopefully not. And if it did, whatever, we'll just record again. Thank you for watching. This has been State of Mind Podcast, and I hope you found something interesting out of it. I hope it was interesting. Please remember to, well, if you liked it, comment, just fill me in, tell me anything, like so that it spreads, subscribe so you can enjoy more. That's all I gotta say. I did 2 pages today, which is, you know, fun, or in this recording, not today. I could just pull that, like, oh yeah, it's the same day, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. You can kind of tell it's not the same day. But yeah, that's that. Okay, bye. Wait, let me just